Hello, welcome to Sunday, and finally we get to hear from Mr. Blair. Now, if we've been waiting for Mr. Blair like some sort of oracle, I'm afraid we're going to have to wait a lot longer because he's not really got anything. He's not really got any advice for us. He's not going to save our lives. He does, however, come out fairly clearly against Mr. Biden. He talks about an imbecilic slogan. And he references specifically that slogan, the Forever Wars. He says that now jihadist groups are going to be cheering, but that we have a moral obligation to stay long enough to complete the evacuations. Well, actually, those evacuations are going to be completed. Those evacuations are going to finish the moment Mr. Biden pulls out the American troops. The moment that happens, we cannot stay any longer. He says that our evacuations, our giving of sanctuary, giving of asylum, should not be done grudgingly, but out of a deep sense of humanity and responsibility. And I hope Mrs. May is listening to that with respect. And you've got to remember that the evacuations, Boris is quite right when he says that this process is formidable. Mr. Biden's withdrawal has placed the most challenging timetable and the most challenging obstacles in the way. But despite all this, Blair says that we should avoid arbitrary deadlines. Well, we have no choice because those are set by the US. The two lessons that or the two conclusions Blair draws is that number one, we are parading our humiliation, and number two, we are returning Afghanistan to the same group from which, quote, the carnage of 9/11 arose. That is an absolute observation, and it is absolutely true. He talks about this whole process being guided by politics rather than strategy. Strategy has been abandoned, and imbecilic politics has been embraced. And more than that, politics which was defined by the other party in America. Blair says that we entered Afghanistan because, remember, Blair's also being challenged by one of his own party about why he brought British troops into Afghanistan in the first place. The timing is bizarre. But, people will bang on their drum. Blair says that his aim was to turn Afghanistan from a failed terror state into a functioning democracy on the mend. He said it was a proud ambition and it was not ignoble, and he's quite right. But we have to face the reality that there is a disjoint between the rhetoric and and what is happening on the ground. If we look at the Taliban, the rhetoric is actually at the moment all very positive. The reality, which is understood by the people in Afghanistan, is far from acceptable. So we know that just before the withdrawal, a sizable group from the Hazara community was massacred in a town called, in an area called Ghazni. We know this. It is fully recorded, fully documented. And more than that, when the Taliban were challenged about killing these people, these people who were unarmed, some of them were shot in the head and some of them were tortured. About killing these people, the Taliban said, when it is a time of conflict, it doesn't matter if you have a gun or not, it's war. Now, if you don't know who the Hazara community are, you simply need to read The Kite Runner. And in that novel by Khaled Hosseini, you've got these two boys, Amir and Hassan. And Amir is from the wealthy Pashtun family. His father is called Baba, and his father has a servant, and the servant's called Ali, and the servant's son is Hassan, and they are Hazara, and they the son is not allowed. Hassan is not allowed to go to school. He doesn't know how to read. They live in a hut at the bottom of the garden. So we've got that evidence. We also know that despite what the spokesman has claimed, that it doesn't matter if you've been fighting for or working for the British or the American or the NATO troops. We know that they're going door to door looking for people who have been working for NATO. We also know that there are posters that have been whited out, that have been whitewashed, of women. We can see the burqa back on the streets prominently, and we know their reputation. We know the reputation of the Taliban from before. Yet, if we treat these people with contempt, we will push them further into the same behaviour that we fear, and they know it. So not only do we have problems with the evacuation, we also have problems with dealing with the people who we have now put in power. So please do follow the site, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.